It's Motley Crue trivia giveaway time, and we were swamped with correct answers. Winners will be receiving either an autographed poster or a Theater of Pain cassette, but this key and drawstring are now the exclusive property of Lisa Fells from Amherstburg, Ontario. Congratulations to you all, and here are Tommy and Vince with the question and answer.
A few weeks ago, we asked you this simple question.
What's the name of Motley Crue's first single, and what record label is it on?
And among other things, that you can win this prized room 1901 key from the beautiful hotel, which I personally stayed in Vancouver, and
the string out of my sweatshirt that I just yanked out of my neck for you, if you answer this question correctly.
Okay, Tommy, what's the right answer?
The answer is Stick to Your Guns, and on the flip side is Toast of the Town.
And the record label?
You know that.
Leather Records.
I'm just really glad that I'm doing this now, and I'm 23 years old. If I was at this stage when I was 28 or 30, I don't think I'd be as into it. I mean, and there are some people like that. I mean, some people who have just started up or just become successful and they are 28 and everything. I think I'm glad I'm getting this part over and done with now.
So you ask, gee, Stu, just how big are Tears for Fears? Well, Songs from the Big Chair is still shipping in the tens of thousands every week, and the momentum should keep building well into mid-'86. Now, after a short break from their marathon tour, they are heading back into the studio to record a new album. This is part 2 of Good Rockin's Talk with Kurt Smith and Roland Orzabal.
I'm into this as a job now. I really am, totally. And I want to make it work. And I find that the more work you put in every area, the more the end result is representative of you. If you kind of miss out on things like, I'll get some video director to make you a fancy video, or get somebody else to mix your record, or I don't really know what to wear in that photograph session, then you end up going, my God, I didn't know I looked like that, and oh, I hate that end result. It's just a matter of control and make sure that what comes across is you and not that you're being mistranslated.
The main thing is to carry on doing something that you enjoy doing. You know, once it ceases to be that, then you should give up. Now I'm still really enjoying myself.
Kurt, let me ask you, while you were recording the album Songs from the Big Chair, were there any particular songs on it that you both thought were going to be obvious hits?
There weren't. Actually, I Believe was one, The Working Hour, Mother's Talk. Funnily enough, the two that we had disagreements about was Shouting Everybody Wants to Rule the World. But that, when I say we did with Roland. Because Roland doesn't have an ear for an immediate hit, right? He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that ear. I mean, he has the way of being able to write an immediate hit, but he doesn't have the ear to be able to say that is an immediate hit, which is really funny. I mean, it is a funny way to be when you're sitting there going, this is obviously, you know, it's like, this is a hit record, what are you talking about? And those are the two that he wasn't sure about. Work around an audience, because they're the people that come to see you, and it's you. It is entertainment. You are there to fire them, and vice versa. But you have to know how to do it each night, because certainly in each country you go to, they react in a different way. In England, like in Europe, you can get them excited by just moving a lot. In England, they get more excited when you're like friendly to them, you know, and like chat sort of like very homely to them and things. So it's a different reaction everywhere.
No, I wouldn't consider England. I mean, England's very reserved, and we get a Radio 1, Top of the Pops type audience. You go out there and do as professional show as you can. I just find that in Europe, the pace of the gigs, because there's a lot of mood changes within the gigs, and that the audience actually felt everything we were doing. Here, they're still a bit kind of overwhelmed. So they're trying to let us know all the time that they're enjoying it by making a lot of noise, even in the quiet numbers and everything.
We don't go too far, because we don't want to create real hysteria, because that doesn't become as much fun. I'd rather work with an audience and to an audience that you feel kind of a part of, as opposed to trying to set yourself too far above them and to cause a kind of hysteria where you could be in trouble. You know.
We had that problem when we started in England 2 years ago. And since then, through taking a step back in profile at times, we've left the sort of the more teeny bop elements of the audience behind, and we've now got what we consider the right kind of audience, which is slightly older. And it'll be interesting to see if that happens in Canada or if it still keeps up.
I don't understand how people could idolise someone they've never met, or idolise someone full stop anyway, you know. And you cannot react on a one-to-one level with a lot of them, because if you went out and said hello, they can't treat you as anyone normal, which I find extremely strange and hard to cope with at times.
Hi, this is Brian Adams, wishing you all a very happy new year and the best to you in 1986.
Up next, we talk to Lovin' Rocket's Daniel Ash on Good Rockin' Tonight.
Kevin had the idea of recording Ball of Confusion with that group anyway, but we split up. But as we were driving over, he had a cassette of it, so we were just playing it in the car. And we thought it would be a good starting off point with this particular group, something just to start working together with. And within about 3 or 4 hours after reworking it, I mean, in effect, it took about 4 weeks to rework it so that it sounded relevant for 1985. Myself, David, and Kevin were in about 3 or 4 different groups in Northampton, where we come from. From about, well, this is going back, about 1978. We were in, say, there was a group called The Craze that you just mentioned, and another one which I won't mention the name because it's quite embarrassing. Then in '79, I contacted Peter Murphy, who was a friend of mine at school. We used to go to school together in the same class, and asked him if he fancied, starting a group or whatever. So we both had a rehearsal together, and within about half an hour it started to really work. So then the other two came in automatically. And this is sort of December '79, and then I think that went on until 1983. The house carried on for about 4 years. So that's the basic story. It was just, playing in pubs and things like that, like everybody does when they first start out. And then we started Love and Rockets last Christmas, although there were little things in between, Tones on Tail, David's solo things, and him working with the Jazz Butcher. But last Christmas we started this particular group.
And that's Lovin' Rockets in a nutshell. Now, for those not familiar with them, they are in fact Bauhaus, minus Peter Murphy. For those not familiar with Bauhaus, they were the UK's first Gothic band, complete with black clothing and eyeliner, your painted rib cages, and a sound that was inspired by old horror films. Now, after the departure of vocalist Peter Murphy and a few individual projects, the remaining members of Bauhaus, David J., Daniel Ash, and Kevin Haskins, reunited to form Lovin' Rockets, and they're riding high with their version of the Temptations' classic Ball of Confusion. Good Rockin' talk with Daniel about their influences.
Well, I remember about 2 years ago when we were recording the last Bauhaus album, a major sort of influence there, particularly with myself, David, and Kevin, we were listening to Sgt. Pepper's a lot, that particular album. And also The Doors they're not sort of direct influences, but they definitely came through within more, rather than a musical as in sound influence, it was more of an attitude that was coming through during that time. It was more sort of three-dimensional, sort of trying to be a bit more adventurous with sounds rather than straight songs, verse, chorus. I mean, that is something that we're very interested in at the moment. And also a lot with melody, probably a lot more now with Love and Rockets than with Bauhaus. The idea of bringing melody forward, which I think the Beatles did very well, probably the best, in that particular time if you're talking about the 60s. But I mean, there are a handful of other groups that I think were probably major influences because they were sort of known commercially, if you like, at that time. I mean, my older brother was sort of brought up in that time. I remember he had sort of the Who albums, the Kinks, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Truggs, things like that. He didn't get so much into things like the Doors and things, which is something we also listen to. And that has definitely followed through in what we're doing now. But there's also a crossover between that, what happened in the early 70s with things like early Roxy Music and David Bowie and T-Rex and that whole glam rock thing, which has been an influence on us for sure. following through to what happened in sort of 76, 77, with things like the Sex Pistols and the Clash and the Damned, which was a big sort of movement in England, you know, the whole punk rock thing. And that's really, I mean, because of that sort of movement in particular, that's why we actually had the guts to actually try and do it ourselves, because that sort of showed us that anybody could do it, which was the whole idea of punk anyway. And that's sort of why groups like Bauhaus and Love and Rockets exist, really, because of that inspiration from seeing people like the Sex Pistols on Top of the Pops, which was a good thing. It sort of broke all the barriers down.
Confusion, that's what the world is today. Hey, hey!
With Love and Rockets, it's been the best sort of setup so far as the chemistry within the group is concerned. You never get an absolutely perfect situation, obviously, because you have to work with other people and everybody have got their different sort of ways of going about things, but it is the best group that we've been in. I mean, this particular tour is 27 dates, which the idea of doing 27 gigs with Bauhaus would be, you know, we couldn't comprehend the idea of that. But we're getting on a lot better now than we were a few years ago anyway. So it's very bearable. In fact, most of the time it's a lot of fun. So in answer to your question, this is probably the group that's going to hopefully really break through. Yes, we hope. But you can never really tell.
Paul, Morton, and Megs, welcome to North America.
Thank you. Thanks.
Been here, you were at the Grammys. That was your first performance live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're working on a world tour.
True.
Okay, tell me about it. What's in the early stages? Do you know anything in the early stages?
Well, we're starting rehearsals and obviously auditioning extra musicians next month, and then the tour will start 1st of June, isn't it?
Yeah, Australia.
How many musicians you plan to take with you?
Probably 2 more.
Or 3. We don't
2 or
know
3,
yet.
yeah. 5 or 6 piece band altogether.
Okay, where are you living now? What's home now for you?
London is...
Yeah, we just bought some flats in London.
So, 8 or 10 flats.
Yeah. I got about 4. A couple of blocks, you know.
All right, we haven't had anywhere to live really for 3 years now. That this is sort of our first homes. We actually got a flat.
Anywhere to live?
We've been rushing around everywhere.
Now the London attraction goes back to the group's history. Morton, can you run down the how AHA came together? You were one of the last members, I understand, to join. Is that true?
One of the last members to join. I was. Yeah.
Well,
I joined them in probably in summer '82, and we spent the next 5, 6 months in Norway just to get the act together, and then we left for England.
Now the songwriting combination is you two, Paul and Megs.
Yeah, I mean we've spent most of our time in England anyway. The only reason people now think we've moved, made a conscious move, is because we've actually got places to live there. We're not renting
Well,
anymore.
most of his time, he means the last 3 years.
Now you two, Paul and Megs, you've been writing in the early stages of your lives, around what, 10 years old?
That's the most creative
That's
period.
when they were writing, yeah.
Yeah, take on me, like I was 11 years old. No. Yeah, we've always sort of competed, writing the best song or playing the fastest guitar all through our childhood.
That's why I'm in the middle.
Yeah, try to keep us apart.
The debut album, Hunting High and Low, is wow. I mean, we're talking success now. We're talking. If I was to, or anybody was to come up to you and say, you guys are overnight successes, what is your reaction to that?
Yeah,
It's true.
15 years, took us 15 years to get overnight success.
No, but in the sense that from the day we released it and until now, it's only been about 9 months. So in that sense, we are. But there's a lot of work behind that, like you said, years.
World tour, you're going to be deluged with a lot of interviews. How are you going to react?
No, not us. We're not going to do that. We're just doing a tour and maybe a few television things in between. Yeah.
You have to, we don't want to get completely washed out, so we'll try to concentrate most on the shows, and then,
We're doing very few press interviews and magazines at all.
I think you have to, or you go crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
it's hard because you don't expect. It's not a natural part of being a musician. It is, but it drains you in a different way than working with music. So unless you have a breathers, you know. If you keep on doing it all the time, it kind of drains you, you know. The worst thing is that you have to have a definite view about everything, you know. It's like you want to say, hold on a minute, do I really have to mean something about that? It's like...
Well, on the world tour, and we know you're coming up to Canada, we're really looking forward to seeing AHA again. It'll be, not again, but
You
for the
better
first
be
time.
there, yeah.
Good. Thanks.
Him. Teemu Selanne of the Jets has shattered 2 NHL scoring records in his spectacular North American debut. Last night he dueled with another great rookie, Eric Lindros of the Flyers, who scored once in leading Philadelphia to a 4-2 win. Not to be outdone, Selanne countered with one himself, a classic breakaway goal we've seen him perform many times. That was his 74th, tying him with Alexander Mogilny atop the NHL scoring race. Now, with a week to go, Selanne is poised to become the first rookie ever to be top scorer. In Winnipeg, he's already won the race for Hockey Hero of the Year, and Peter Jordan has prepared this profile of the young man they call the Finnish Flash.
Line up, here. Teemu Selanne.
Super. Who's your favorite player?
Number 13.
Teemu! It's programmed! So what's selling?
Teemu. Teemu, Teemu, Teemu. Anything. T-shirts, hats, jerseys.
Now, Winnipeggers have been just packing the arena to see a young man who has made this number lucky. I see you got it signed, too.
Sure did.
The young rookie's name is Teemu Selanne. Hi, I'm Peter.
I'm Yanni.
Yanni, where are you from?
I'm from Finland, town called Virra.
Oh, really? And I see you have a Selanne sweater, too.
Yeah.
Can you show the folks?
You have nothing in here, eh?
This game is sold out. It's a clash of the superstars. Wayne Gretzky, the Great 99, and the Los Angeles Kings against the Jets with their new kid on the block.
Jury's not getting program sound on camera 7.
And I guess they're waiting for Selanne to score a few today.
He'll probably pop in a couple. Camera 3, Mo, I need that section 9.
You got your order still scored?
And camera 7, Yuri, looking for section 21B.
Tell me what your order is.
9, 8, 7.
There you go. The game's going across Canada down to Los Angeles as well. And for the first time, a live broadcast by satellite back to Finland. 1 million people there will see the show. About 1 in 5.
Let's go. Here we go.
I think that's really good for Finnish hockey. That's very exciting. I know that people are really excited. They are waiting that game in Finland.
He's probably the most popular export they've had out of the country. There's no question. Every magazine we get copies of the publications they do over there, the newspapers. Of course, all the television crews have been here, radio crews. We've got reporters here all the time.
I can quote you one Finnish newspaper which said that this young guy who looks like Elvis and is a god now in Winnipeg.
Pekka Antila writes for the largest magazine in Scandinavia. He's in Winnipeg covering Finland's biggest story.
He's very big. Teemu is the first superstar we had in Finland, and he's a brand new phenomenon in Finland.
Vaarallisia syöttöjä pääsi tekemään. Sitten jälleen Teemu Selanne yksin lähti.
Teemu Selanne has always been good. The Jets offered him a contract 4 years ago, but he became a hero in Finland when he rejected the big contract in order to play for his country.
I wanted to play 1 more year in Finland, and especially when we had so special year. I played Canada Cup and Olympic Games, and then we won our own championships in Finland. And I played almost 90 games that season, so I think that's helping me a lot when I get here.
Kings leading by 3 with the game in hand. Here's Selanne breaking in.
Off the ice, Selanne is even a bigger hero in Finland. He endorses not beer, but milk. And the money he makes from television commercials like this goes to a children's hospital in Finland.
I really like kids, and so we did a lot of work for charity in Finland, and I think that's really important thing, because you have to take responsibility to other things too. This is just hockey, you know. In life we have a lot of more important things what we have to do.
That means children. Back home when he wasn't playing hockey, he held down a kindergarten job.
I think that's best job what I ever have. We have to do something else than play hockey in Finland. it's getting so much boring if you don't do anything else. So that was really nice. I really enjoyed to do that.
By the spring of 1992, Selanne has won all the fame that Finland can offer. He sets out to conquer the North American game. Calgary and Winnipeg fight for his services. In September, he arrives in the Jets dressing room, a rookie with a fat 3-year contract worth nearly $3 million. Head coach John Paddock is optimistic, but cautious.
But we're not expecting an overabundance of goals and stuff in his first year.
But Teemu proves the coach wrong. Overabundance is just what he delivers.
Selanne shot, he scores! He shoots and scores.
He's a great player, and he's got an eye for the net, and he's going to score a lot of goals this year.
Teemu Selanne of the Winnipeg Jets, number 13. Around the net, he's playing with Hull and Gretzky.
At the All-Star game, I think we became very aware of just how big Teemu was, because other players wanted to meet Teemu. We were in Tampa Bay not that long ago, and one of their trainers came up to me after the game, and he had a stack of pucks, I don't know, 7 or 10 pucks, and he said, could I get these autographed by Teemu? And I said, sure. I said, who are they for? He said, well, they're for our players. And I said, you're kidding? He said, yeah. He said, the guys want an autograph. And I said, well, sure, we can do that. And he said, well, good. And he gave me about 10 more. He said, this is for everybody.
Now Domi flips it high. Selanne goes after it. Teemu Selanne breaks in. He scored!
At home against Quebec, Selanne shoots down Mike Bossy's 15-year record for most goals in a season by a rookie. He gets 3 in this game. A few days later, another record.
Selanne waiting along the board. The Zamnov in the slot.
With this assist to Alexei Zamnov, Teemu Selanne has more points in a season than any rookie in league history.
We had some T-shirts ready to go, and as soon as he got that point, we made an announcement that if you'd like these new T-shirts on sale, bang, they were sold out within 15 minutes.
Now off the draw, the puck down in the Winnipeg zone.
Back at Finland Day in the Winnipeg Arena, the Kings lead 2-0. It's the end of the second. Not much to cheer about here in Winnipeg or in Finland. In a phone call to television fans back home, Selanne basically explains that the team is playing badly. But there's one more period to go, and Selanne has a lot to show.
This is something that Winnipeg fans have gotten used to a lot. You seem to hang out at center and then...
Yeah, that's...
Is this something you guys work out?
Yeah, we are talking about a lot of these things, how we can doing our game a little bit easier. I think it's yeah, that how Housley, he can see the ice so well that I think it's good if we can read each other and we can talk each other what we have to do, that we can play better together.
Finland Day, the final period. The Jets are showing signs of life, led by Selanne with that set play from center ice.
Here's Selanne breaking in, scores!
Selanne's countryman and boyhood idol is Jari Kurri, but these days it's Kurri who admires Selanne.
Biggest asset is the speed, you know. His speed is surprised a lot of people, and I think it's the fastest I've ever seen with the skates on it. So.
Teemu has got great acceleration from standing still to full speed in 2 strides or less, and he gets a lot of breaks that way.
And there's the shot, stopper down, rebound, they score! Selanne again!
A few minutes later, the Jets are back in the game. Goal number 70 for Selanne, a performance rarely achieved by any hockey player, never mind a rookie. The Jets are behind 3-2, but the crowd knows that won't last long.
We are here to watch Teemu Selanne play hockey, the best hockey game. He played very good. 2 goals he got. For Winnipeg, tosi hyvä äijä, se pelaa tosi hyvin.
In any language, this is called Teemu Mania, and it shows up every day in the arena when the mail arrives at the Jets' office.
Selanne, Barnes, Selanne, 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 Asenza, Boughton, Selanne. I've been here 4.5 years. I've never seen anything like this. Never.
Neither have the people in power. There's a wave of public praise and reward. From the mayor of Winnipeg.
Congratulations.
From the president of the team. From the commissioner of the league.
You have a great young star here. It's exciting.
and from a king of the kings.
This kid is just a tremendous hockey player and a lot of class, and he's only going to get better.
Say Teemu. What's his name? Can you say Teemu? What's the name?
Most important, Teemu-mania shows up in the numerous autograph sessions like this one.
Teemu is just taking off.
Colin, put 3 of those down.
We had Jets Carnival back in late February, and at any one time there was probably upwards of close to 3,000 people in a line, constant line for Teemu. They had ended up having to have police security around.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. There were a couple 100 meters lines, and some people were waiting 2.5 hours to get my autograph, so I think that's just amazing. You're number 13?
All right. We like to ask that everyone that would like an autograph just have one item autograph.
It's really nice to give an autograph for kids, 2, 3 maybe. It's so nice to see how happy they are. But when people come and ask 20 or something, and you know that they're going to sell those things, and that's not fair. I don't like to do that.
Like the fans, we didn't quite understand just how popular he was going to be.
I absolutely love the man. Look at that. What is more perfection?
But popularity and perfection have their price. Selanne becomes a target for tough guys who try to throw him off his game. So last fall, the Jets paid nearly $500,000 for Ty Domi, a player not known for his goal scoring.
I think a lot of people were under the impression, too, that Ty Domi was brought to Winnipeg to protect you.
Yeah, that's true. And but Phil Housley and I think for other players too. I think the other team they know that they can't do those dirty things, slashing and cross checking behind.
Ty Domi isn't always there to protect him, so Selanne has shown that he's willing and able to stand up for himself. In this one shift in a nationally televised game against Toronto, Selanne showed he wouldn't be intimidated. That surprised some people, like this guy, and himself.
Oh.
Is that me?
You just about removed him from his helmet.
Yeah, but obviously that's not my style hockey, you know. But you know, sometimes you have to do that, and sometimes it's fun too. You know, it's not nice to get all that all the time. Get that. I think sometimes it's nice to give back.
Not since Bobby Hull has Winnipeg been so excited by a player. And now the media has caught on. They've discovered a new superstar in the sporting galaxy.
Right in here, Teemu. We're in about 30 seconds away.
And of course, everybody wants a piece of Teemu. So it's almost impossible to accommodate everybody.
He's been through a lot. You know, this isn't your run-of-the-mill 22-year-old. I mean, he's, after all experience being a superstar in Finland, he's had all that success, all that celebrity status there. So he's had to cope with a lot of this for the last year and a half or 2 years, and that's matured him a great deal.
I think he's a better person than me as a hockey player, and that's the highest compliment I can give him. And I think there's always a tendency when you're so good and so popular that things go to your head, and I think he has a tremendous way of keeping that in perspective.
15 seconds.
Sometimes it's tough. I say that now I have to take a little bit more time to myself, and that's it, because you have to, I think you have to get that balance here between hockey and other things. Otherwise it's coming too tough, and you can't enjoy that hockey.
It's the final seconds of the Finland Day game. Big goal mouth scramble.
Wide. Selanne, Samdon scores! 5 seconds left!
All right, so here's the deal. You got this great-looking rookie. All he does is fill the net. He wants to be a kindergarten teacher when he's finished playing hockey. He's the spokesperson for milk in Finland. A lot of people are saying he's too good to be true. Well, they very well may be right, because signing him at the end of this 3-year deal is going to be difficult.
I'm not worried. The market will dictate the price, and whatever the price is, we'll have to pay. We've always maintained that position in Winnipeg, and we'll continue to do so.
3 years from now, will Winnipeg be able to afford Teemu Selanne?
If the Winnipeg Jets are in the National Hockey League 3 years from now, they'll have to. That's a fact.
This one will end in a 3-3 tie.
But the big story this afternoon at the arena was Teemu Selanne on Finland Day at the arena in Winnipeg.
A couple of hours later, the usual post-game ceremonies. But there's something different in this old hockey town this year, a newfound pride and excitement. The last of the interviews over, Teemu finally heads home, but there's some hardy autograph seekers still waiting. And for the next 2 years at least, Teemu will be there. For 24 Hours, I'm Peter Jordan.
And now you know why John Paddock says Teemu Selanne may indeed be a better person than he is a hockey player. When we return on 24 Hours, Conservative leadership candidate Josh Array stops by on his Manitoba tour.
Of it all, and yes, there is still hope. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Winnipeg Arena and the carnival that could only be Winnipeg. I'm Scott Russell. The Winnipeg fans among the most innovative in the National Hockey League, and they've done it again with all these flashlights and the revival here at the arena this afternoon. Winnipeg coming off a 19-game winless streak with 2 victories.